Rosa, what a human being. He is supposed to be a responsible gentleman, but he's not. He's so stupid and heartless. It's because of him I'm crippled anyway. I tried to sit up, then grabbed by two crutches by my side. I held them firmly, then used all my energy to lift myself up. I succeeded a little by going a bit higher, but then I stumbled and fell again. I groaned angrily. I sat down to see if one of the maids will pass by, but I got impatient and the leg began to hurt me. The way I was sitting wasn't really appropriate. I turned and managed to sit well. I leaned my crutches over the wall and waited for someone to come and help me. Unfortunately, my crutches slid and fell on my leg. I screamed and began to cry. The crutches really hit it and I feel so miserable. I began to wipe my tears repeatedly. I'm this type of person that my tears flows like a waterfall when I start crying, and I usually find a hard time wiping them away. Then I heard someone sigh. I looked up to see him leaning on the wall with his hands crossed. I frowned at him, then I muttered "devil" and looked away. I heard you. #me, I don't care. He chuckled and walked closer, then took my arm. What are you doing? He didn't answer, he just pulled me up. I placed my feet on the floor and my thigh immediately got a feeling as if it was electrocuted. I yelped and took my feet up. Hurts, right? I frowned at him again. Do you care? Then I hissed, I'm getting guts now. I wonder where I got this from, and I just overcame my fear over bad boy. #bad boy. If I didn't care, I wouldn't be standing here holding you right now. I looked away and grabbed my crutches, then balanced on them. Thank you. Then I began to walk away angrily. It seems the devil is against me today, because a few steps from him, I fell again. I screamed and I lay face down. He began to laugh evilly. I even became scared because I thought he was punishing me. I don't even know what this guy is. Maybe he even has sorcery. Immediately, all my guts vanished. My fear rushed in again. I felt him squat beside me. My heart began to beat faster. Should I leave you here or just go? I couldn't reply or even look at his face. Thank your God I'm in a good mood. He lifted me up and instead of giving me my crutches, he swerved me off my feet. I gave out a yell of fright. He carried me to a room and dropped me on the bed. Don't bother coming out yet until I say so. He turned and got to the door, then stopped and turned back again. I hope this is your room? I shook my head nervously. He placed his hands on his waist and stared at me. I immediately looked down and played with my fingers frightenedly. You know what? Just stay here until I tell you to come out. #me, but. What? Wah. Then he said harshly, don't waste my time. Do you think I'm as idle as you? I swallowed a lump. #me, I'm sorry. I was going to ask about my crutches. He hissed and left after banging the door in my face. I shuddered and stared blankly at the door. That girl must be an illiterate. I wonder why I even brought her here. Was I that drunk? I hate liabilities. That's why I separated from my family. I don't want to have anyone with me. It's so exhausting. I hate people, they disturb a lot. And I think this girl is worst. I better show her the real me instead of being soft on her. I walked to the living room and met a maid cleaning. All the workers hate me so much. Is it even hatred? I think it's fear. They're afraid of me. This maid hasn't seen me yet, that's why she's still humming and cleaning. Hey! I barked. She looked back abruptly and saw that it was me. Her body shook and she staggered back and hit a flower vase. It stumbled and fell down, shattering. Her eyes widened. Say goodbye to your family and friends, then say hi to your greatest grandfather. I pulled out my gun from behind. She screamed loudly and fainted. I began to laugh. I laughed and sat on the cushion with my gun on my leg. I brought my phone out and decided to order a wheelchair access for that girl so she won't kill herself with the crutches. Then I'd probably send her away afterwards. A maid rushed in as if she was trying to catch a flight she was already late for. She rushed towards the maid, who fainted and gasped. She bent down and checked her out. She didn't see me on the cushion. Well, the cushion is black and I'm wearing black. I decided to scare her too. I lifted my gun and fired a shot through the ceiling. She screamed and fainted immediately, even without looking at me. I hate girls. They are too weak for my liking. Always fainting. I ordered the wheelchair and waited for it to arrive. I checked the time and it was almost 8 a.m. Breakfast should be ready by now. I'm really starving due to the alcohol I consumed last night. I heard a gunshot. Oh no. Is bad boy having a fight in his house, or maybe the red light finally tracked him down and shot him here? This is not good. This is so not good. What if they decide to check the whole house and kill everyone in it? Then I'll die. Please save my life. I was in fear for over 10 minutes. Then I heard a knock. I began to shiver. The door opened and a maid walked in. I breathed in. Good morning, miss. It's time for your breakfast. Where is bad boy? He's already at the table. He asked us to bring you down with this. She rolled in a wheelchair. Ha. She rolled it to me. Let me help you up. She aided me and I stood up and sat down on the chair. It was very comfy. Are you okay? Yes, thank you so much. She smiled and rolled me out to the hallway. Then we went through the elevator and got downstairs. I secretly prayed that bad boy wouldn't be at the dining table again. I poked a toothpick in my mouth as I walked to the poolside. I don't have a gym here and I don't have a hideout here. What a stupid house. I wonder if I was drunk when I bought it. But the house is still safe because no one knows it's for me, except the workers, and since I hardly come here, eyes are not on it. I ordered a maid to get me some towels and cigarettes. I did to open my brain. I also ordered her to get me some champagne. I sat by the pool and waited for the maid. Calls have been coming in since, but I've been rejecting them. It's just my men who want to say one thing or the other. If it's a serious issue, they would call my secret number. The maid brought my stuff and gave them to me. She turned to go, but I stopped her. Stand here. She looked puzzled as she stood there. Are you safe? I was looking at my phone. She didn't answer. I looked up. Are you deaf or dumb? I'm safe. Good, now strip and enter the pool. But. Trip now. She began to strip and I smirked. I took a cigarette and lighted it. I watched her as she took her uniform off. When she got to her undies, I used my leg and pushed her into the pool. She screamed as she splashed into the water. I dropped my cigarette and took my shirt off, then dived in and grabbed her. She gasped as I squeezed her. B***BS. Roughly. I wasn't smiling. I was going straight to business. I removed her panty by myself and immediately entered into her. I pushed her to the edge and rocked her body hard. She held me firmly as she moaned roughly. I rocked her for 30 minutes and finally ejaculated. I pulled out, but she was still holding on to me. We were both breathing heavily. I pulled her head close, as if I was going to kiss her. But I whispered into her ear, "You're fired." She looked shocked as I got out of the pool and wore my clothes. Give me your bank details and I'll send you enough money to vanish from my face now and forever. She couldn't come out cause she was naked and I smirked evilly. I just ruined her self-esteem. I turned and frowned when I saw someone on a wheelchair gawking at me. Rosa, I decided to go round the house checking different places. The wheelchair is really fast and smooth. I love it, but I still prefer my legs. I wheeled to the 6th room I was going to enter. The door was half open. I heard sounds of a lady, as if she was gasping for air. I quickly wheeled in and it was the pool room. 2 people were in the pool and they were doing the filthy. I gasped and covered my mouth. I couldn't believe they were so stupid enough to do it publicly. I looked at the face that lifted up and it was bad boy. I decided to wheel away quietly before he shoots me dead. It was then he came out of the pool. The first thing my eyes caught was his tattoo. He wore his shirt and I sat gawking. I quickly tried to turn but he saw me. Oh no. I turned immediately and began to wheel away. Come back here. He began to come after me. I began to wheel faster but he caught up with me and pulled the back of the wheelchair. He turned me around and held my hair in a way that it was hurting so bad. How dare you stalk me? He was looking angry. I didn't bring you here to start watching my every move. In fact, leave my house now before I murder you in cold blood. He pulled my hair and I began to cry. Everything in my life replayed itself. I was reminded that I was a nobody and that no one wants me. Hearing those words weren't my first time, but it actually poked a hole in my heart because I thought I would be allowed to live in here, but like the trash I am, I'm being thrown out again. I was crying profusely. He gently released my hair. My sobs were increasing. I turned the wheelchair and began to move away while crying. I couldn't say a word because my mouth was busy. I wanted to go upstairs and take my things, but I remembered that I didn't come to the house with anything but my crutches. I then wheeled to the facade. It led to the floor with a flight of stairs. I couldn't go down. I was contemplating whether to ride down the stairs even though I knew I might fall. I began to cry again. "Why do you cry with pain written in your eyes?" I looked up to see Bad Boy. There must be something that this girl has gone through. Why is she crying this way? I know her mother is died while she was at the hospital, and I know they're very poor. That's why I paid all her bills. Maybe she has suffered a lot. I don't know what it feels like to feel pain, and I don't care if people are feeling pain, but I'm still human. I bent down to her. The breeze was blowing gently and her long hair was being tossed about. I took a strand of hair that entered her mouth. "Let's go inside. You might get a fever." I wheeled her inside and locked the door. I changed the room temperature with the thermostat and got her a glass of warm milk. She took it and began to drink. I sat opposite her and watched her. I checked the time, almost 10 a.m. I need to go out. "I'm sorry for yelling at you. Won't happen again." She looked up surprisingly. "And you can keep staying here till whenever you want to leave. This is your home now." She was still staring at me as if I was speaking Latin. "We can also be friends then," I smiled. Her eyes widened. "What? You heard me right." I stood up and lifted her hand and gave her a handshake. "I'm going out. I'll be back in the night." Then I began to walk away. I stopped and turned. She was still having this face of unbelief. "What's your name?" "Don't mind me, I don't know her name." "Ross." "Rosa." I nodded. "Nice meeting you, Rosa." I winked at her and went upstairs. I was taking my shower when everything I did played in my mind like a television. I was surprised and I froze. Where did all those words come from? It sounded too nice. I threw my soap against the wall and yelled, "Damn it, Bad Boy isn't that nice." To be continued. Guys, what do you think is controlling Bad Boy? Do you think it's pity or he has a good side? And too bad for the maid who got fired in a pool. Watch out for the next part 4. Please subscribe and leave your comments.